But for the day, it's all about Adani Group. Remember, the promoters yesterday have sold stake in 4 companies and they've raised a massive 15,500 crore rupees, a little more than that. Nimesh is here with the details of the buyer, which group has sold how much stake and what the promoters now hold. Nimesh.
Arima, so the key to this whole transaction is the fact that the promoters have raised money from one of the marqueest name in the world, which is GQG Capital. I'll come to GQG Capital and who owns this. But in the news first, the promoters have raised 15,446 crores by selling stake in the 4 group companies. The companies where they've sold stake, in Adani Port, the promoters sold 8.6 crore shares at an average price of 600 rupees, raising close to 5,300 crores. In Adani Green, they have sold 5.5 crore shares, raising close to 2,800 crores. In Adani Transmission, they sold 2.8 crore shares, close to 2,800 crores. And the biggest one came in Adani Enterprise. There they sold 4 crore shares and they've raised close to 5,500 crores. So net put all together, they've raised close to 15,446 crores. Now, this is a big amount that they've raised. But the most important thing is they've raised from the marquee investor, which is GQG Capital. It's one of the biggest funds to, which is managing globally close to $90 billion. We heard Rajiv Jain as well talking, even in the press release, and he's spoken to the Australian media as well, where he's spoken about why he's convinced about this group and why he's betting on Adani, not only Adani Group, but on Gautam Adani as well. So that's the key thing. Just look at what GQG does. Like GQG globally manages close to, $90 billion. That's a big amount that they manage globally. And they also manage a lot of money in the emerging markets. In emerging market portfolio, they own close to $12 billion. And if you look at the top India holdings, the best marquee names are there as far as the holdings are concerned. So ITC, HDFC Limited, Reliance, ICICI Bank, SBI, Sun Pharma, Tata Steel, HDFC AMC, Cipla, Power Grid, all the blue chip names are there as part of the key holdings within the India exposure of the GQG. So big investor coming in, the best of the pedigree from a global perspective, and the fact that the promoters have now managed to raise 15,500 crores, it will really help to deleverage the promoters' personal pledges and the balance sheet. But this will be a big relief as well. And that's showing up not only in the Adani Group stocks, but on the financial names as well.
Oh, absolutely. And, looking at their India portfolio is just adding so much confidence, right, to what comes through when they invest in the Adani Group. But, in fact, like Nimesh was saying, Rajiv Jain, who's chairman and CIO of GQG Partners, said, I'm just going to read out the quote to you. I'm excited to have initiated positions in the Adani Group of companies. Adani Companies owns and operates some of the largest and most important infrastructure assets throughout India and around the world. Gautam Adani is widely regarded as among the best entrepreneurs of his generation. So we believe that the long-term growth prospects for these companies are substantial. That's the quote coming through from GQG Partners. But like Nimesh was pointing out, we're really seeing the rub-off effect of this on the financials. So Abhishek is here to take us through the exposure of the banks and NBFCs to the Adani Group. Abhishek?
Well, lenders, both banks and NBFCs do have exposure to Adani Group. There are, right now I have a list of 6 lenders who have an exposure of little less than 60,000 crore to the debt of Adani Group. And this forms about 0.96% of their loans. So amount-wise, obviously the highest amount is of SBI, given the balance sheet that SBI has. It is about 27,000 crore, followed by Axis Bank at 9,221 crore and 7,000 crore each coming from REC as well as PNB. However, one needs to look at the percentage exposure, that is percentage in terms of this total quantum to the total loan book of these lenders. So percentage wise, the highest exposure is of REC, which is at 1.7%, followed by IndusInd Bank at 1.52% and Axis Bank at 1.2%. And amongst these 6 names, the lowest percentage exposure is of Bank of Baroda at 0.6% of their loans. Back to you.
All right, okay, so that is exposure to Adani Group from the banking names. But post the stake sale in the 4 group companies, Citi estimates free float increase will lead to inflows. So Vivek is here joining us with all the details of what the note says and the flows impact as well. Vivek.
Well, absolutely. So, one important development that's happened yesterday is that given the fact that it was the promoter group entity that has actually sold the stake, what actually happens is that there is now an increase as far as the free float is concerned in 4 of the group entities. So in Adani Ports, since 4.1% equity exchange hands, there's been an increase of the corresponding amount. Adani Green, 3.5% stake sale, Adani Transmission, 2.5%, and Adani Enterprises, 3.4%. So now what Citi is anticipating is that in the upcoming May review of the the MSCI, given the fact that there is now an increase as far as headroom in the free float is concerned, there could be inflows that could come into the Adani Group stocks in that particular index review. Now, remember, to give some particular context, in the Feb review itself, there was a special treatment from the MSCI and the Adani Group stocks, but Citi this time actually estimates that there could be some inflows coming in. So, Adani Ports, they are anticipating inflows around $70 to $80 million, Adani Enterprises $90 to $100 million, Adani Green $40 to $50 million. Even more interestingly, what they're saying is that the scheduled outflows of Adani Transmission should actually reduce by half. Now, what this basically means is that in the Feb review, Adani Total Gas and Adani Transmission, there was going to be a weight decrease. However, given the fact that the stocks were continuously hitting the lower circuit, that was rescheduled or postponed to the May series. Now, the other stock to watch out for is Adani Enterprises. Remember, in Feb, there was a weight reduction that happened. Approximately $185 million of outflows was seen due to the MSCI reject.
Oh, thank you very much for that. And as we wrap up this 360-degree perspective on Adani Groups and the impact on the markets, Nimesh wants to, bring in a word. Nimesh.
What Vivek spoke is about the liquidity factor, which will come up in the May review. So that's something to track. But I guess the big thing to track going forward will be what is the money going to get used for. The promoters have raised 15,500 crores. There are multiple options that they can do, right? One is the big concern of the promoter pledge. Now, if you just look at the promoter pledge of these 4 companies, obviously that's the first expectations that, the pledge in these companies will go down and promoters will use this money for that. So that's something to track going forward for all these 4 companies. The other angle to track is, and that's the reason why maybe the market is rewarding ACC and Ambuja. Just take that chart out of ACC and Ambuja. Both are reacting 5% in today's trade. While there was no stake sale in these 2 group companies, but the way market is reading this is the fact that if you look at ACC and Ambuja, the open offer price for Ambuja it was 385 if I'm not wrong, and even for ACC it was 2200. So even now the stocks are almost at those levels. And the big thing to read would be now that the promoters have got this money, they can infuse this money as warrant conversion, which they have to do in Ambuja at 418 rupees per share. So I guess that's the reason why the street is excited about Ambuja and ACC, because now that now there is money with the promoters, they can go ahead and infuse the money into ACC, into Ambuja at 418, which was the conversion price. So I guess that's the reason why we need to track. The next step to track would be how the money is getting used by the promoters as far as the pledge is concerned, and as far as how are they going to use this money infusing into ACC and Ambuja.
Oh, Nimesh, thank you very much for highlighting that. So keep ACC and Ambuja on your radar too. So the big takeaway is it's the profile of the investor and the amount that he's committed, which has really excited the street and given confidence to the Adani Group stocks and, of course, the banking stocks, the PSU banks, the lenders to the Adani Group. That's the big takeaway. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll discuss commodities. Manisha Gupta joins in as always.